Volume test, volume test. Hello, hello. Now, why can I not hear that? Am I muted? Hello? We have no audio for some reason. That's not muted. No. Okay, I know what it is. I can hear myself now, right? No? Still nothing? Okay. Let me mess around with my audio. Ba-da. Unpin. There we go. Oh. No, that's good. That's good. I don't think I've changed anything. Have I not? No. Output. OBS seems fine. Oh. Mobo. Right, can I hear myself? Yes! Okay, that's it. Well, that was a bit of a mess. I can explain. I knocked the USB connection on the microphone as I was setting up, and it hopped the output to the microphone for the desktop. So okay, the stream would have been getting the microphone absolutely fine, but I couldn't hear anything, and I couldn't work out why. Since the start of the week, I guess it was, we finished CC's. It bothers me that there's a space, an extra space between C's and red. Can you see that? There's a double space. It bothers me a little. But I played that through 5 times to get all the different things. I didn't realise that quite a few extra scenes are shown, or they vary, depending on whether you search the storage room at the start of the game. That's just because you get the meat thermometer. And there are quite a few scenes that play out either having the meat thermometer or not having the meat thermometer. Which, you know, if you strip that out, then there's only sort of like 3 or 4 choices, which is fine. You know, that's the story they're trying to tell. And I thought they did a reasonable job. I think the problem was I sort of took the bait and switch to assume it was a different character than it was. And I was like, oh, it's her. But no, it's the... I'm plainly an idiot, really. But I worked that out after the second playthrough. When did I do the second playthrough? You got she's angry, he's upset, she's not angry. Oh, she lost, yeah. So basically we look through the documents, the guy realises who we are, he murders everyone. And then I played through again, just, yeah. Fun little game. Definitely worth it. So I've also now been playing Kerbal, and that's what I'm going to be playing today. I started in career mode, which I have to say I'm regretting slightly. Which is probably why, after a couple of minutes of just showing my progress in career mode, I think I'm going to go over to sandbox mode. The thing is, in this sort of thing, I know from the sandbox experience, I'm not going to learn anything because I'm just going to throw all the most complicated and useful components on straight away. Because I understand the basics of some spaceflight things. Let's turn the webcast, sorry. But the thing is that I wanted a progression to learn the game. And the problem with career mode is everything's gated by learning science. So obviously, yeah, you can research science by, going to a suborbital flight, have an orbital flight, you've basically got a little science probe, you can do crew reports and stuff, and that's useful, but I haven't found, or there doesn't seem to be, a way to know what you've done already. So there's no way of sort of, hey, can I go do this to get easy science points? No, I don't know that. So in career mode, the only way to do it is by doing contracts and doing research by doing the crew reports and the rest I've told you. And they don't seem to gate the contracts on your tech tree, your current tech tree. So I've had some contracts that want me to test components that rely on equipment that I don't technically have. Because some of the decouplers they want me to have in a staged process don't fit any of the actual fuel tanks or booster tanks that I currently have. Now I've got an adapter that would fit it, but then there's nothing behind it, so I just have it on the back. But anyway, so I've done quite a few trips now. I've done an orbit and deorbit. I've done quite a few suborbital flights. I've done some touristy things where I've gone up, brought some people back down again. I've done quite a few of the do temperature readings, do pressure readings above and below certain altitudes. But I think I'm handicapped slightly by the control system that they've mapped onto the console, which, yes, you've got to admit that being a mouse-based game, trying to make something out of it, they've done a reasonable job. I just wish they'd have put a bit more into it. And I'm mostly talking because we're still loading into the game. The other thing is, you can't seem to have more than one save. You can't have multiple saves for that save slot. Whenever I go to save, it just makes this, it updates that. Even though I can change the name of it, that's it. It doesn't matter. I've seemingly lost progress. I don't know whether the console's restarted or it's just not saved correctly, but I've lost contracts I've completed before. I've lost pilots. One, I had a crash on the runway taking off an aircraft and did a full reset back to the hangar, and my pilot was just missing in action. I don't know if that's an intended thing, even though I warped back in time or what. I don't know. This screen, basically, I started clean slate, don't know anything about the game, went into this mode. And I probably should have done some of the tutorials at the main menu, because you don't sort of learn that you can actually upgrade these things. And that really helped, because I couldn't make a tall enough rocket. I mean, I was hobbled by the height of the rockets and the amount of components I could put on them. But now I'm not limited. I'm limited on this tech tree. So if I go to where it is, you can see that we've actually had to unlock these with science points. We're currently at 41, which isn't enough for the current upgrade I want. So I just unlocked aviation and had a stab at flying. But I haven't learnt enough about positioning components. I haven't learnt enough about how the hell you do precise attachments and the rest. And I kind of feel like this game could benefit from just having little YouTube tutorials sort of embedded in there. Yeah, so I made a experimental pass. So, oh right, yes, I see. I had a component to test that I thought, oh, I'll do that, and then realised it was for an aircraft. So if I load this, you'll see these big things at the back. These things. They're turbofan engines. So I assumed from the contract it was just I'll splash down my rocket in the ocean and then try them out. But it won't mount, I can't put them on my rockets. So I have to apply them in here. And of course, the air intake, I couldn't get any thrust off them. And then I went to launch, and you can see here that, oh, come on. Sorry, so we've got too many parts, and the width is too much. So the other thing I was having an issue with, right, so let's go to mirror mode. It's on mirror, okay. So try and get in position to place this wing so that it's slightly more rotated up. And I haven't worked out how to do this. They need to have some shading behind the text in the top right, because I can't clearly see them all. But they've got like gentle rotation if you hold a button. But how am I meant to carefully position that on the end of that wing, but slightly more rotated upwards? I mean, there it's vertical. There it's like, how are you meant to attach this? Now, undo last, toggle radial. Again, like some of these are, what does that do? Place, move. Let's try this, because I haven't played with this enough, I've got to say. So do I just hold? Ah, okay. Roll. God, this system's janky. Okay. And you can see that it's just under the width there. But it's also, it's swept backwards, so I need to, no. Okay. Right, okay, so I learnt one thing by just popping in the menus. Now we want to take these off because they're pointless. Oh. CUSA. So right, we're in the part limit, we're in the width limit. So let's save our craft and go to the launch site. Now do I have enough Kerbals for this? Do I have a pilot? I have a pilot, okay. I'm just worried I'm going to kill them. So with everything I've learnt, you have to be really subtle. Right, so let's put the brakes on quickly, put SAS on, so it stabilises it. So you can see that, you know, we probably don't actually have enough thrust for this, but we'll find out. You'll also notice I've got some drogue chutes, radial parachutes. So I was thinking, well, if I fly this like my rockets, I'm going to want some safety backup. So the thing we want to do is look at our contracts. So you can see that that's the turbofan engine I was looking at. That decoupler, we don't even have that in stock to actually use, so I don't know why it's given it to us. But we've got these two locations, either above or below. We'll do the below one. So we go to toggle map. Now this is the thing that always bothers me. The map is always the wrong way up. Like, why can it not be above us on the globe at the moment? So watch me try and delicately get in there. So that's the one we will need to be below 1800. So that should be fine. This is the other thing, like everything's a bit too small and the cursor doesn't have the finite controls. If I push slowly, it just doesn't have any like subtlety to it. Right. So we have our location on the map. You can see that it's orange on blue. So it's barely readable to me with my color perception issues. I still haven't learnt fully about... I know I don't even have access to RCS yet, so that's fine. I know that at times you get more buttons that appear here that can toggle things on and off, but I haven't experimented with enough yet. Docking, I don't even know why that's on for the flight. This is our Delta V. It basically says what thrust we could do with the fuel we've got on the rest. I don't know why it's blinking. I don't really understand. Again, like, I wish there was a help button I could just tap. Direct connection. Ah, okay. So I didn't put an aerial on, but we're at the component limit. Here we've got the warp location, so we can speed that. I think I read while I was messing around. Let's have a look at this. That there was a shortcut combo for warp. No, I'm not going to do EVA. It was like held L1 and X. No, that's lock stages. Okay. R1 triangle, no. It's the problem with reading guides online. They sometimes could be wrong. So I'm glad I didn't do that. Okay. Right. So I'm going to have a stab at taking off and flying towards that thing. Now what I do want to do quickly, since it's a crew report, we highlight the cockpit, pin it so that it doesn't go away when we close it off. I wish these could be a little smaller. But basically, you see you've got crew report. We need to tap that once we're basically in the AoE of that Langer's oversight. So we've got throttle, which D-pad up and down does macro, and then you can hold L1 to do the micro. We do want full thrust. I'm just adjusting the tail at the moment. I do notice I don't have a vertical tail, so we're not going to be able to pan left and right. Is it called pan? No, it's yaw, isn't it? For not used to all these terms yet. The other thing you'll notice, they're not perfectly horizontal at the back. Again, I couldn't work out how to do that, and that's something I'm going to have to learn somewhere. The other thing is there are no ailerons. I could not work how to get them to actually attach to the back edge. It kept trying to do tangential. They're like right angles to the actual back of the wing, and I just could not get it to be sorted. So I noticed that our energy charge is going down. So if I... Oh, okay. Let's just take off. Okay, so the engines are on. I forgot the brakes. So the brakes are off. Now, I'm worried that this isn't going to be stable and it's going to fly around like a mad thing, so... At the moment, it's not even wanting to take off, which is a worry. So how fast... Ooh. Okay, that's nice. Well, at least the cockpit currently has survived. No, don't brake. Please don't brake. Oh no. Okay, that's just a science module on top of it. Okay, so that basically my experience of Kerbal so far has been blowing the shit out of stuff repeatedly until I got like 20 flights in, and then I was able to get up into an orbit. And what I'm going to do now is okay, so they're not missing. I will show you the tracking. So there is a spaceship's worth of debris floating. Let's go up here. Okay, there's freshly made debris on the ground here. What? Huh. Okay, I didn't. I guess one of our contracts is to do almost it. Okay, so that's an EVA I can go do. Right. So unburnable 1. Oh wow. Did I not? Why did I not recover that? Yeah. I mean, they're obviously... Oh, what? Wow. Why can I... Let's recover that. Might as well, I don't need them. Right, so, I wish this camera was better. Okay. Oh, no. Oh my god. I don't say I'm incompetent, but it sure feels like it. Which one is Kerbal? Probably this one, I guess, yeah. So that's the nearest moon. I'm told that that's actually not the easiest satellite to get to. We should aim for Minimus. But you can see that I have a trail of debris from Orbiter 3. The problem I had was I got into orbit and I turned to do a retrograde burn, and rather than hit up on the D-pad, I hit X, which unstaged the back end of the craft. And then I thought, okay, well, I know that if I do an EVA with Jebediah, I'll be able to get some science points. And the problem was there was a minor amount of spin on the Orbiter 3 command pod. So as soon as I EVA'd, Jebediah just went into space. I was like, fuck. So we at some point are going to enjoy collecting all of these things back up again. So let's go back to... So anyway, you can see that that's Orbiter 3. So we got into orbit, you can tell. Let's go to mission control, I guess, get some contracts. So you can see that we've done a lot of surveys. We've escaped the atmosphere. We have deorbited successfully. We've taken some tourists up. I've tested a bunch of bits and bobs. Orbit Kerbal. I mean, the nice thing, I just wish there was a bit more like carrot and stick sort of action that gave a bit more science. Because to do something like explore Mum, that's just flyby. I'll pick it up just because it's a thing to slot in. Again, since I've only got to orbit twice, and deorbited once. Orbiter 3 is just, each time a rocket fails, I make a new one and do some other bits and bobs. So let's open Graft. There have been a couple of different Orbiter 3s now, because I had Orbiter 3, and then I added a crew capsule. I was doing some other mods. What was this one? Because at some point I was trying to get some... Oh, this was the one where I was trying to get this decoupler tested. So we... wait a sec. Take this off. There's no decoupler there now, is there? So this is why it's a little fiddly. Can I take... No. Okay, I'll just get a regular decoupler. Right, let's have a look. We've got that, the drogue chutes, this decoupler, that engine, and that. I've probably got too many actual solid boosters on here. And we have a central core one. The problem was, because if we have a look, we have these liquid fuel tanks. I only just got these as part of the... but these are jet fuel. They're not suitable, I don't think, for the other engines. Yes, they are. I don't really, again, understand. But anyway, the problem I had was that if you have a... Whoop, wrong button. If you have a look, each of these is a different fuel tank. And the problem is there's not much stability in them. They flex slightly, let's just say. So this thing is actually really rather unstable. Just, it wobbles a little. So I was hoping to get more research done to get the larger, like the 400 tank. So then at least it means that it would be two fuel tanks rather than 4, which would strengthen the shear or whatever. So what we actually have here is 3 plus 3 plus 1 solid booster, and we stage off the bottom 3 when we get up to height. And I did that because I wasn't certain how much force we need to get up into space. Thing is now, if we're just doing a flyby, then I can probably aim at it and then come back. But hopefully that means we need the solid boosters to do most of the work to get up into space. Now again, because I don't know the full systems, center of mass overlay, okay, that's decent. What's that? Center of thrust, okay. What's that? Aerodynamic. there's probably something to do with trying to get that and that near together, but that's probably because we've got the fins higher up than we need them. Like, we probably want to eradicate like that. But the reason I've done that is these fins are for the I guess I don't need them once it's in space. We shouldn't really need. But the problem is I don't have RCS at the moment, so I need some way of at least helping in thin atmosphere to stabilize the ship. And this is the problem, like, you're given such little to go with that this is as much as I've managed to unlock in career mode without doing a lot of research that I haven't honestly been able to do because I wasted money trying to get aircrafts done to do some of the low orbit, the suborbital research, and it's hobbled our other processes. So you can see that our mission flag is the European Space Agency, because why the hell not? Right, I think our staging's good. Now, since I haven't done anything more than an orbit, I'm just going to have to set target for now and learn as we go. Let's get those away. So, what is that? Recover or transmit? Oh. Now it says any science, so that means we can probably do all of our experiments up here. And if we're doing a flyby, I want to prep these so that we have easy access to them. What I have found is crew hatch is awfully easy to select when you're hovering around the command pod. So now that we've filled our screen with a load ridiculously large user interface, right? I guess we're just gonna have to launch then, aren't we? See how titchy our little adventure is at the moment. So what I'm going to do is ditch these solid fuel boosters and basically coast up to the top of the parabola, the apoapsis as they call it. So you can see that we're getting very hot, and that's likely because I've probably got too many solid boosters on there. We probably have too much force. And all we want to do now is time warp a little higher, just so that, you know, we're not sat around staring at nothing. Now the problem here is I haven't actually done, what is this, add maneuver. So now I know that I can do this from watching, I just don't know that, move along orbit. Oh, no, that's not good. So, cycle edit mode. Right, okay. How do I zoom? Okay. So we want, no. As far as I'm aware, I need to get that AP up to there, right? Again, I don't know what I'm doing. Cycle axis. How do I confirm? That's probably not it. Right. Node in. Oh, that's pretty quick actually. So we burn for most of them. Oh, we're actually quite late. And we also haven't adjusted to the angle we need. So we need to go to the blue marker. See, it's saying what we should have done is got there in time so that our burn, as far as I'm aware, need to overlap. The midpoint of the burn needs to overlap with the node. So if it's a 60-second burn, we need to be there 30 seconds beforehand. But hopefully you can see the two markers are getting towards each other. That's good. And now our burn is just to give us the amount of velocity we need to get to where we go. Of course, looking at it, I don't know that we're going to have enough fuel to get home. But at least it'll be interesting. I wish there was an easy way to control the port. Okay, so you can see the yellow and red on the... No, we're going to run out of fuel. Okay. We've got the the least amount of fuel we could possibly have while still having fuel. Right. No, we want to go and see... That doesn't look good, does it? Okay, so we missed the timing, and we didn't have enough. Okay, so this looks like we've got a very interesting orbit that is going to condemn our Kerbal until we, again, learn how to send some good vessels up to recover him. That can't be right. We can't have burnt for that long just to get there. Oh well. So I assume if we do a time warp now... Now, you'll understand my frustration with career mode because I haven't been able to get decent enough equipment to be able to get to where I want to go. And to get further equipment, I need to get to where I need to go. If that makes sense. Yeah, okay. So we have a more eccentric orbit than previous ones. Now I wish I could have actually done something useful on this trip rather than show off my incompetence. But that at least shows us how to use the maneuvers. So warp next maneuver, add maneuver. So what are these things? I wish you could hover and time to reach and get more information, or I wish you could set values like this is how I want my Apo access, you know, the height for it to be. Period. An hour. Okay. Path. So what we should do is go back to vehicle assembly. Because that's clearly not good enough. So the problem is, again, how do I learn how to get further into orbit with what I have here? It mentions that electric charge required but not generated. Well, I can't generate electricity in space because I neither have a nuclear engine or an RTG, and the batteries that I'd like to have don't exist because I haven't researched them. We can have a far larger rocket, so that's something we could do. What I have tried is putting far more liquid fuel tanks in this stage, but the problem then is it makes it a bit too top heavy. I don't know how I'd resolve that unless I make a wider rocket, but then aerodynamically it's a turd, which makes it far harder to get off the ground. Now you can see I've only got 3 different solid rockets. If I open one of my older ones, actually I should just show these up. Here's where I tried a liquid one, and you can also see how I didn't fully understand how these work. So once I got into space, I noticed that you can get science from them. So then I was just like, hey, I'll just research all of them at once, and that's how we get it. But basically, if you launch it and don't do any science, you still get extra funding. So I was padding out my funding by just going into space and coming back down. You can see that we've got a reaction wheel, which is good. That fits at the parachute end. So I had one rocket that had that added on. It didn't feel like it did much. But that's potentially because my current rockets are kind of crappy. The heat shields have been absolutely amazing. Basically, you just throw it on the bottom here. The orbiter's got them, and it means that you can really not care at all about re-entry, assuming you're not going above like 2 kilometers per second. I haven't worked out why there are 2 of these. Like, aerodynamically, is that much better? It doesn't tell you. So yeah, we've got thermometers, barometers, and just miscellaneous science. Actually, did that orbiter... Did this one... Ah, okay. So this one also has this service bay that you can actually put components in. Now, what I really would have liked is if they'd, like, made an interface for anything you put in the service bay so that you don't have to open the doors and close the doors and interact individually, because that's some of the problem with this. In space, if I just want to do a temperature reading, I don't have to click on this and do that and do the other thing and, you know, mess around with it. When, to me, something like a thermometer should be a component that's inside like a service bay that's then queryable from inside the cockpit. Don't have cargo. Got a flag. So what do we want to do? Let's go look at R&D again. You can see you start out, you get very little of anything. I mean, look. You get a decoupler and a comms area. I mean, these things you have to purchase with science. And you're like, what? So you start off with a single solid booster. That's it. So that will barely get you into the atmosphere. But you know, you learn stuff. And then there you've got larger liquid fuel things. And here we have, this is the, if I go here, this. Like, at the time I got this, we had nothing else that attaches to, so why get it? Like, it seems annoying that some of these aren't like this. Is it that one? That one. That fits it. But of course, like, aviation? Really? And then here is the first sort of wings that actually have a decent amount of movement that can actually steer your craft better. So if we draw out of there, so right, so there's the battery. That's the only way that we can get additional energy. And I was finding that a couple of missions I did, I was running out of power to transmit science experiments back, which sucks. And again, these things would be great if they were earlier in the tech tree, because you can't snowball to get science points without, decent things like these. It's just frustrating. Because, I mean, I don't need aerodynamics, but I want, where are they? These things. I want that for in space. I mean, all of these things I want so that I can start playing around with the deeper stuff. But it's 90, and as I saw with the flight thing, it cost, what was it, 45? So I spent 45 science to then discover that I can't competently build an aircraft at the moment. So I don't know. It's incredibly frustrating, the career mode. If I go, is that, yeah. So we have one pilot missing, one currently on EVA. I still have 4. Oh, yeah, I feel that's good. I haven't yet needed anything more than a pilot, but that's because I haven't got far enough yet. You saw I mentioned the contracts, and it's one of these frustrating things where I need to do more things to be able to just get access to do more things, so it doesn't make it enjoyable. I mean, completing contracts have been super rewarding, but I'm still stuck doing the basic remedial task of do an orbit, do an orbit, do an orbit, I probably should do that, but play exhibitions. Options, obviously. So what's this? Basic, allow reverting, quick loading, missing crews, yes, respawn timer. Auto hire. That would be nice. That would also be nice. Include stock. See, I haven't played the stock vessels, so maybe I should have done that, but re-entry heating. Let's turn it down a little, just to make it resource abundance. Enable comm network. Right, okay. So, what do you mean by change preset? Is that just confirm? Oh. Damn it. Okay. Right. Ooh. Not entirely certain what it is, but this time of day, plus talking, I just want a nap. Did I decide? Okay, so the facilities look an awful lot more impressive now that they're built up. Okay, so you don't need to do R&D. That's lovely. Let's have a look at this. What is that? Can I keep zooming in? No, okay. Size class B. Don't know what that actually means, but okay. So let's go have a look at building a slightly less janky craft. Not that I think I'm going to be any better at it, but you know. Oh wow. Okay, so there's definitely a lot more. What's the difference? You can get more dudes in there. But it's an awful lot heavier, isn't it? Oof. Right. We want a decoupler. Well, how much smaller is the 6? Miniature for small. Okay. Oh, well, no. I want a heat shield first, don't I? Well, that's big. Right. No. I don't know why it has two different ways of, like, close or not close. Come on. There. Okay. It makes no sense why that exists like that. So, fuel tanks. So I need one of these now, don't I? What's mass? Well, that's titchy. So that's oh, that's 20. Why are these names daft? So that's a 120 called a 25, and that's a 20 called a 10. And that's a 1, but that has 750. I don't. What? What's with this? Like, okay. So we have RCS fuel tank. So I probably want to put some RCSs on here. Drain valve. Is it that? Yeah. Let's try and get it. I wish you could just say put them exactly on a line, you know, north, south, east, west or something. So I want a fuel tank. So this is us. We probably want more at the other end. Where are they? Oh. I just wish there was an easier, subtle way of putting these on without funny about so much. Right, so we want an engine. No. Dawn. Twitch, no. Spider. Swivel's the one I've been using. They're more compact ones. Atomic. Does that need electricity, or is that an ion engine? Is only to run solely on liquid fuel. LV. Thrust. That's titchy, isn't it? Yeah, it's too big. I just want a space on that. That should do, shouldn't it? If we're just up in space, it's not going to need anything monumental. So I need another decoupler. 12 again. Everything attached. Separators jettison. Oh, does that mean either side of it? What does that mean? So that the description of that makes me worried a little. We now need something that can take us into space, so a lot of fuel. So a big one. No. No. A big one, come on. Liquid fuel. This one. That one? Radial holding tank. Storing raw materials. Huh. I mean, that's a lot of fuel. How big is it? Too big. Oh. No, too big. Where's this small one? That? That's too small though. Oh, okay. What about that one? Ah, there we go. That'll do. Okay, so engine. So do I want just a Reliant now, maybe? Problem is, how big's that? No, that's not gonna work, is it? Vector. No. I think I want the Reliant then, don't I? I don't know how efficient that is. Thrust fuel 7 per second. Twitch. Spark. Is that a better one? Where are you? Okay, so that is 16 kilonewtons and 0.5 a second. And that is... Oh, that's far more efficient, isn't it? What about these other... I don't know. Let's try this one. Oh, okay, it's Titchy. Ramjet. Nice. Sort by size, will that do? So how small is that? Okay. So, T45 swivel. Maybe I just want the swivel then. Because if we've only got the 2, then we want probably more adjustment as we fly. Right. So this is our main spacefaring rocket, I think. What more do we need? Well, we need a parachute. What's the difference between that and that? Is that a bigger one? Yeah. Okay. What is that? Oh, is that a ladder? Recommended load 0.5 Kerbals. What? So this is one thing I'm going to do, because I had a problem with it after an EVA. There's a ladder, aren't they? I don't want radial. I just want it. Oh wow! Like, come on, just. It's because it's using the normal of the actual polygon. It doesn't sit well. Okay. I mean, look at that. Doesn't matter. So hopefully that should be parented to that. Yeah. Illuminator. Neat. I want some drogue chutes, which are there. I'm going to do that by Tribble. Just because I find it balances it a bit better. I just wish they actually snapped well. Don't need a flag at the moment. What's that? Processing. Raw materials. Huh, okay. Don't want the crew cabin. Mining excavator. Neat looking. I wonder how you stage that. Anyhow, heat tracker storage container. So we've got the main chute, so we get another stage. Let's get that away. We need another stage. We put our drogue in that. Sometimes these expand when you pick them. There you go. And sometimes they... Okay, so... Basically now we have... how do I go on? So we have... This is basically for like 2 kilometers up in the atmosphere. This is for 10 kilometers up in the atmosphere. That will pop off the remaining thing. We do that up in space to get rid of the previous load. We want to put that in there. So it jettisons the bottom section at the same time as enabling this engine. That's that. And I probably want now to get some solid boosters to get us up into space. So hydraulic detachment. Don't know what that is. Radial decoupler. Okay. Crossfeed toggles and header and flight default. So that's a standoff decoupler. Okay. So we want to have this further up. Then we get our shrimp. How big are those? Titchy. Let's get the thumper because we're used to that. What I don't like about this is trying to get it attached. Is that on? No. Is that on? That is on, but okay. So what again I haven't learned. How do I place it onto that radial decoupler, but not in the center? You know, have the top section. Like if I want to drag it downwards, how do I do that? Vertically. Roll, fine rotation, pitch. Do I go to this? Move this part. But doesn't that unparent it now? Okay, this is messing with me. That's left. That's right on the stick. That's left on the stick. But doesn't that mean it's no longer? I guess if it's classed as attached, it's still attached. Okay. And what I wanted to do is play around with these cargo. Ground. Is it cup again? Cup? No, not coupling. Structural. That'll be it. I just wanted this on to there because I was finding they wobbled a bit too much, and I also want to do aerodynamics and get not air intake, small nose cone, aerodynamic, and just plonk them on there. Okay. So now we've got these boosters, the separators. That let's drag that up into there. Right, so we still have to add other stuff on. So we need an aerial. Have you ever wanted to brush? Oh, so I can do that so that I don't need a pilot. Okay. Inline stabilizer. Reaction wheels. I mean, if I'm doing that, I probably don't need that, but that needs liquid fuel, doesn't it? From that tank, whereas that probably wouldn't. Linear RC. Oh, so that's like a... I see. It's like a space shuttle. Right, let's get on with what we're doing. I wanted an aerial, and I've forgotten where they were. It's that, isn't it? Short range that can handle either direct or short range. Okay, so we want to put this... Oh, no, they're massive. So we just want one on here. Doesn't need to look good. Relay. Those are neat. Deployable designed for minimal form factor when stowed. Directional antenna. Does that fit onto the nose? That's massive. How big? Oh, how big is this? Decently big, but what if I just like plonk it on the side, maybe? Here. So that when we're in space, it can... I don't know. We don't need it. So what I did want to do is include a larger battery. An RTG! Okay, I haven't done a cargo hold, so I can't put that in anywhere at the moment unless I rejig stuff. Those are solar panels. Okay, they're kind of... Why is it ugly? Recovery when it's no longer needed. Huh. So that's a 3x2. Photovoltaic panels. Oh, if those were deployable, it'd be great. Solar array. Can these sit on the outside without getting damaged? Or are they just likely to break? Well, let's just put one on and see. So that's telescopic, right? So I should be able to, in space, open it, I assume. Extend. Yeah, okay. So what's that? Fuel cell array. Shows reliable power. Yeah, okay. What's that? Rechargeable battery back. I probably should fit that then, shouldn't I? So now you'll see the fun nature of... So what you do, let's grab the heat shield and pull down. I assume this will fit. No, it's too big. Will that fit? That will fit. Okay. Actually, it doesn't need to be here, does it? It can be on the other side of the heat shield. Because like every other filthy human, I'm just going to dispose of it. 10 meter. Bouncy cars. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. But this... and then you've got actual thermal control panels. Okay. I wonder how complicated you can make a ship if you wanted to like unfurl some bits and bobs. I don't think I need stabilizers just yet, because you know it's fun not to. Let's have a look. Some parts adapters, structural panels. Oh, it would be ooh, a tricoupler. Okay, well, I mean, I'm not intending on doing a thing, but that's kind of neat. Engine mount. Why would that be? Oh, okay. That's massive. I'm having far too much fun just having a look around here. Right. Let's think. Do we have everything we need? We have a parachute. We have drogue chutes. We have the detachment. We have this and that. We have the radio separate. That needs to go in with that, doesn't it? I think. Yeah. Let's have a look. We should also display values. Oh, that's on the details panel, yeah. Body. Okay, that would be useful if I pay any attention to it. There's nothing concerning about this vessel. Okay. So it's not that tall, but it is quite heavy compared to our other builds. It potentially is a bit small, but then it might be okay. So this thing, all I wanted was, you know, bigger liquid fuel. So let's rename it and call it Twitch, because why not? And save it. And go to landing pad. What I don't think I've played with really is learning if any of our singular mounted things like that battery actually has an obvious center of gravity influence on everything. Okay, so these are new. So clearly this must be an upgrade from one of our, like, the tracking station or something that we hadn't got in our previous messing around. It's a lot of fuel. So I'm going to do the same thing and say that, what is that line? Say that Mun is the target, even though I don't. We're just practicing. What do we have to do? Brakes are off. SAS is on. I think we're all good. So we'll find out if we've made a boo-boo or not. So already, compared to our previous rocket, the Orbiter 3, we're already going faster. You know, our velocity is greater at this height, which means we're a much lighter in mass vessel than that one, which should mean that by the time I drop the fuel off, we should be sort of midway of the lighter atmosphere layers. And this is the problem I was having, that I wanted to get really high up before we converted over to the other type of fuel. Wow, we're decently high. This is great. And it's not that... okay, and the air's starting to thin out. That's great. So I'm basically going to just keep powering up. Turn the throttle down a bit. We don't want to waste fuel. And just coast up then. That's great. So we've already done better than our previous, whatever you want to call that. So the other thing we need to do, we need to basically get this much further along. And the other thing is, I need to change. And we're still luckily coasting away. I wish there was like an easier way to control your ship. So I want to rotate it. Come on. Oh, I guess I'm fighting with the... Let's try and get the thing balance. So what I don't think I've done is got high enough. I can say that. Because this is the problem I always had, that I didn't get high enough, so I wouldn't be out of the influence of gravity. So then I would have to fight constantly. This is the other thing, like, come on. Get to where you are. Right. I need to zoom out. But I think this is the thing. It takes so many attempts, and I mean, the ridiculous amount that NASA went through to learn how to do this. And the fact that every so often, like, come on, I'm pushing in that direction, but it's inverted. So I need to do, yeah. Oof. Okay, so it definitely looks like we don't have enough of anything, of what we need to be doing. I mean, what's the actual... How do I find out altitude from this mode? I can't do it from here, can I? That won't tell us. No. See, this is the problem, because it's like using Emacs. You got to keep toggling between stuff, and it's not easy to do. Yeah, you can see our little vessel is so piddly. We probably want to double the amount of fuel we have on board. This control seems fairly reactive, and that's with that off. Okay, neat. It's probably one thing I forgot to do, that we should have enabled that once we got this high up. So what have we learned? We have learned that we should extend this and see what it looks like. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so what we should have done is probably attach a radiator, because that's going to be hot. So, okay, so it's kind of open for the sun. I mean, it's sort of pointing there. I mean, it's not, but we're not pointing there either. That's neat. So we can use those to get energy up here. Not that I think we've got, like, energy-based reactive motors or anything. So what do we need to do? We need a bigger mid-stage. The one after our triple set of solid boosters. Thing is, it may just be that we've made everything a bit too heavy. How heavy is that component? Hello? I guess there's no, like, detailed way to see. Just get rid of it. So what we need to do is get a bigger fuel tank on this stage here. This stage? No, because that's a cutoff array. Okay. So it's a fuel tank, John. What are you doing? Do I want that, or do I want the 400? Probably that one. So we've got a 400 and an 800. Delta V 400. I don't see the utility of giving a combined delta V because you can't fire them all at once, so it's pointless. Also wish it would automatically like rearrange them properly. So we've got the solid components there. So I think we need to get further up before we start messing around with what we're doing. And I know that you get to the apoaxis, you accelerate parallel to the Earth's surface to get into an orbit, and then from there the orbit basically has to be promoted by going, basically pointing in a direction that your combined vector will then shift you over. But I'm not comfortable and familiar enough to be doing that. So we're going to save this again. You get a launch. Most of the motivation to do a Kerbal stream was a friend called Hud. I'd been mentioning I'd been getting into orbit and getting back down. He was like, well, I kind of played that game once and got really frustrated by it, stopped playing, and said, I'll take you through some of the basics on Twitch. And so far I've shown that I'm not a useful teacher. We don't really need anything beyond just hitting the power button, giving a gentle tilt. See, what I haven't done is included any control surfaces on these, so we can't really control it. And the other thing is, let's say we had one fewer solid fuel booster, would we be doing better? And that's one thing I'd love to sort of, can the game give any feedback on if it's more sensible to have 2 or 3? And this is the thing, like, how do you get that information apart from like trial or practice? The delta V numbers, I guess with the thrust and the mass and everything, you could probably work it out on paper. So I'm just going to maintain our velocity without having it wane, so that we don't use too much fuel, but also get high enough that we'll be mostly stable. Okay, so we're still, with such a titchy amount of fuel spent, we're still pushing out our... we should be fine. So in theory, if I cut the engine now, we should coast through this arc. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to time warp to get closer to it. Now we're getting high enough that the friction forces of the atmosphere are gone. We have less gravity pulling on us. And our orbit should get down to the speed of our rotational movement around the globe. Satellite, whatever you want to call it. Right, so now we want to get in here. Oh, my stomach's So what I should have done really is put in reaction control, or, because what we wish to do is point... Okay. Near the direction of travel, which means that we're not fighting too much against our current vector. But now we want to just produce an orbit from our... And that should now bring that yellow thing up to us. So if we go here, you can see we're massively stretching this out. And this is what we wanted on the previous thing, and I was just messing it up, basically. So you can see that we're not needing to spend as much fuel to do the same thing. So we should mostly have the full tank of the other stage left once we've done this. But you can still see that we're still pushing up our apoapsis, which is we probably didn't get up to the apex as much as we needed to. But again, still learning. I probably actually have this a little too high. It needs to literally be smack on the right thing. Right. So that's detached. Okay, so it looks like we still needed to have far more height before we did this. So we needed to keep accelerating earlier, I think. So you can see we're doing a ridiculously fast velocity. And you can see these are glowing because clearly, we're going too fast for them. But this is taking a while, isn't it? So you can see this is the problem. We're still kicking out our orbit, so it's not just orbit. It's not just producing an orbit of what we're doing. Oh, and now we're aiming too low. Well, I buggered up again. That's really interesting. So what is our ship doing? Ah. Okay, so what I wasn't looking at was the fact that we were also plummeting towards the Earth. Well, I'd love to say I'm learning, but at the moment, it feels like I'm not. Okay, so yeah, we need to get far higher. So a better thing to say, how would I have realized the downward motion from this view? Because to me it looked like whenever you're typically doing it, the where you've been measure isn't a breadcrumb, it's just the rear projection of the forward path. So you can see our drogue. Oh, I should put SES on so it's not so wobbly. You can see that's our regular parachute that won't open up properly till it gets to 1 kilometre above sea level. Okay, so we have had a few launches, one massive failure of our aircraft, one completely missed flyby attempt, and a complete failure of a flyby there. But this is Kerbal. That's basically it. You're constantly learning, constantly making mistakes, especially as I have shown. And that's the game. It's quite enjoyable. I've had repeated crashes, I would say that. Save games repeatedly become corrupt, as they call it. So I don't know how much progress I have lost when that's happened, but you start up the game, it's like, oh, it can't load, but it can recover, and it seems to have recovered. I've not lost everything, but it has set me back 1 or 2 times. I don't think the game's getting any further updates because I think they're working on Kerbal 2 at the moment. But you know, if messing around in space interests you, and I've shown you enough of some of the basics, then do have a look at it. And I think I'll leave it there because that's an hour and a half of doing very little. Sorry for that.